What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Paper Room Podcast, hosted by our BT Young Adults team. This is a podcast to encourage young adults in their young adult journey to follow Jesus and live faithfully in this culture. Our hope is to share some wisdom as you're navigating major decisions in this life. We love you guys. Hope you enjoy this episode.
What's up, Paper Room? So glad that you're back and listening to this episode. Today, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see that we're joined by a special guest. For the first time ever, my husband, Ben.
What up, Ben?
I don't know what. I was going to try to make a sound effect, but that's Nick's thing. You know?
Yeah.
He always comes in, chimes in with the perfect little...
Yeah,
He really does.
You know,
He brings that energy.
I can't replace that. But we're so glad that you joined us, Ben.
I'm happy to be here.
I feel like it's a joke every single time. Like, we just need to get Ben in here. Let's get Ben in here. And every time.
And I'm finally...
No.
And now you're here, Ben.
I made it. So what is it?
This is a Paper Room Podcast.
Oh, okay.
And today we have our special guest, Ben, with our segment.
We do.
For today's episode. What is it?
Go ahead.
We talking about dating
Mm-hmm.
and relationships.
Spoiler alert. We are.
It's not a spoiler. I was just giving the
Is that
giving the topic. That's the
the
topic, right?
segment?
I
Yeah.
didn't mess it up there. Oh, the segment.
Yeah.
Yes.
The segment.
All right, segment. Sorry, my bad.
Okay, you're real.
I'm gonna start us off with blind ranking.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Ben's version
This
of
is-
blind ranking.
Top 5 music artists.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. I'm ready for this.
I don't remember if we've done this before. You guys probably have. but
No, I don't
think
think so. That was insane.
I'm pretty sure we've done it before. Anyways, so blind ranking. Y'all know how it works. I'm gonna give you a random order of random musicians, artists,
Yeah.
and you put them in whatever spot.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Taylor Swift.
Gotcha.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
Thank God.
All right.
Negative 10. Sorry.
Bruno Mars.
Oh,
Okay, he's really good.
he's really good. I have mine. I'm putting him at 3. That's safe for me because it's not like
Bruno Mars
he's.
at 3.
It was because you could have some 1 or 2 could be. You know what I'm saying?
It's because what if he has Justin Bieber in there?
Exactly.
Who's better?
Maybe I should bump up to number 2. I don't know. I'm gonna wait. I'm putting number 3. Number 3
you
seems
know,
safe.
Yeah, but
I'm going to put number... I want to say 1.
Oh wow.
Because I feel like everybody else, because he's really good.
No, he's a really good artist.
I'll just put number 1.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So number 1 and number 3.
Uh-huh.
Locking that in.
Yeah,
That's
I'm locking that
kinda
in.
crazy.
Yeah.
Come back.
All right. Beyonce.
Oh.
Queen Bee.
No, sweetie.
Dang,
That's a
crazy.
5.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a 5 for me.
Dang, that's crazy. Okay.
That's Queen of Illuminati. That's what it is. We can't edit that
Wow.
out. That's truth. Just kidding.
Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, I'll put him 4.
Now you're actually like, oh, Kendrick.
It's
4.
because I may want to put Beyonce before him, but Kendrick he has pretty good rap music. I'll put him at 4. Oh wait,
Name 3 of the songs.
I wish I would put Beyonce at 4. Oh well, too
You can't
late.
change
I
it?
know I can't change it.
I will also put him at 4 just because I
Okay.
don't really
Yeah, you don't listen.
know his music.
You listen to whatever I listen to now. So
Yeah.
I need to listen to more Kendrick. John Mayer.
oh man. This is terrible. My ranking. I'm putting him at 2.
Okay.
3.
Okay.
So my
Let's
only one
recap
left
your.
is 2.
So you only have 2 left. What's your current rankings? Bruno Mars is 1,
I
right?
have Bruno Mars at 1.
Crazy.
I have John Mayer at 3. Kendrick, then Beyonce at 5.
Mm.
I have Beyonce at 5, Kendrick at 4, Bruno at 3, John Mayer at 2. So my top one left is 1.
Okay.
What's the number one?
Mariah Carey.
Oh man, that's fine.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay. Like, I'm emotional.
You thought I was gonna have Taylor at
Bruh,
the end, right?
I just thought you could pull out someone else. It's okay.
So I did very good.
Should we share how we would have done it if we knew them all at the beginning?
Nah.
No,
Oh yeah,
Okay.
go for it.
absolutely not.
So
Okay.
my list was in no particular order.
Uh-huh.
This was just how I read it to you guys. Bruno Mars, Beyonce, Kendrick Lamar, John Mayer, Mariah Carey.
I honestly probably would have done Bruno Mars 1, Beyonce 2. Because I'm thinking back to when she was
Count.
Destiny Child. Like, Homegirl has good vocals and can sing and has good music. And then I think 3 I would have put John Mayer. 4 would have been Kendrick. And 5 would have been Mariah Carey. Yeah.
You don't like
that would
the.
be it.
I'm okay
every
with my
time.
choices, you know?
I know the song.
No,
You only think
no
of the
regrets.
Christmas song.
Yeah.
I have
No regrets.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Thank you, Ben, for that segment.
Yeah, that was really great.
That was fun.
Mine, real quick, would have to be
Oh,
John
so
Mayer number
sorry.
1, of course.
Yeah. duh.
Yeah.
Classic. I'm probably like Bruno Mars, Kendrick. Mariah Carey and then Beyonce.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
She goes
interesting.
off.
I think vocally she's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She had some.
Okay.
She had
Yeah.
some whistle registers where she's singing and sounds like
Oh, wow.
Wow.
crazy guy.
Okay.
She's crazy. I'm just saying. It's wild.
Interesting.
Okay.
Before we jump into the dating questions, we had an amazing student conference this
We
past
did.
Yeah.
weekend.
Praise the
Shout out
Lord.
one weekend.
Yes, great job, Isha. Great job, and great job
Yeah.
at Ben at worship. Y'all did great, and so we just thought we'd share really quick, maybe a 1-minute highlight, from this year, from one weekend. Y'all
1
should-
minute or one sentence?
Oh,
I think one sentence.
okay,
may be
okay,
better.
okay. Y'all go ahead. I need to think about this.
I'll go first because mine's gonna be shorter than
Okay.
yours. No, I mean, I was way more behind the scenes, like at this one.
Mm.
Past years, I've been like a student leader,
Mm.
and so this year I was about to say just in worship. It's not just worship.
Wow.
Nick, don't fire me.
Just totally different responsibility.
So yeah, I got to play acoustic and sing with our band, and like just watching all the students worship was awesome. So yeah.
That's cool.
and respond was cool.
I can go if you want. To
Yes,
more.
you go.
It's not gonna be a sentence, but 1 minute. This year was really crazy for me. I feel like a full circle moment because I have been at since the first one weekend since I was a student.
Mm.
And then as an adult, I've been twice as a leader. This is my fourth time as a leader. And then last year I led a breakout session, but this year I was actually one of the main speakers, which is still crazy to think about. And I was able to talk about my journey of singleness and how the Lord helped me through that and overcoming lust and all that. And just the response was just crazy. It just really reminded me. It's just crazy to think how the Lord can use the things that our sins and our struggles, but when we come and we accept Jesus as our Lord and Savior, He really, that verse of you become a new creation, like it's so true. And He really does use that to like help people come closer to Him.
Mm-hmm.
Like that story then helps people like accept Jesus, which is still mind blowing to me. So that was just a really cool experience.
That is definitely full circle.
Yeah.
From student to speaker.
Yeah, for real.
No, yeah.
If you can do it, I can do it.
That's your next sermon
really
time.
I mean, if I can do it, you can do it. Whatever.
If you can do it, I can do it.
I don't know. All of us can do it.
We're
all in this
together.
For me, I think what was the most different about this year and good was I had way more responsibility in putting on the conference this year, but I also was the most present I have ever been, which was all God. I really truly felt, and it's, part of it is that we had such a good team. Like we had Joey.
You got to like experience more of it.
Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, I was behind the scenes a lot, like for almost all of it. But I was more peaceful and just more present in like paying attention to, because even though I was behind the scenes, I got to help our speakers. I got to help them get ready to go up. I did help with students, but I was really helping our leaders be prepared for what they needed to do. It just felt like I could kind of sit back and just watch God move because of all the preparation that went into it. So that's something that I want to and need to carry into next year. It's
for sure.
We have the ability to be present if we put in the work, and we did the work, and now it was time for God to do it. So
Nice.
That's awesome.
yeah, it was great. And then we had it was also our biggest one weekend. So the most students that we've ever had at this conference, and I just believe it's going to keep growing.
The first night was like almost 500.
Yeah. Well, just throughout the whole conference. And then Saturday, I think we had more come in on Saturday.
Wow.
Just people inviting their friends and stuff.
That's awesome. Praise God.
Yeah.
Shout out God.
Well, today we are talking about dating, but more specifically, we're catching up on the questions that were submitted for our dating and marriage and engagement Q&A panel that we had at YA service, I think 3 weeks ago or so. And we just didn't get to all the questions. I really felt like we could sit there and answer so many more.
Yeah, like y'all went for
at least an hour.
and
Yeah.
It was like an hour and 10 minutes.
And I really felt like everyone was still like engaged. And we
yeah,
could've
it
just
didn't feel
kept
like it
going.
dragged or
No, it
anything.
didn't.
Man, that's good.
Yeah.
But there were still a lot of questions that like we wanted to answer, and we know that people actually sent these in, you know, like this is what young adults are questioning and going through. So we do want to answer those. And Ben, just as you contribute to, the questions, feel free to share a little bit more about yourself and kind of where you've been in history and your background, because I've been on this podcast now for I think like 3 years or something like that.
What episode is this? Did we figure that out?
No.
Okay, it's either 59 or 60.
I think it's 60.
But I think our listeners know me pretty well, and I've shared a lot of stories about my dating past and things like that.
And they know me pretty well.
Because I've talked
because
about
of your
you.
witness.
Exactly. I have mentioned you in almost every episode.
Yeah.
But I think it would be really, really good to just hear your perspective on things, especially because you're a guy. You're a male. So let's jump into it. First question that somebody asked us: how do I know if I'm jumping into a relationship too fast?
Okay, I'll go first. I think it's all about what your your heart is behind it. Like if you feel like you're jumping into this relationship just because you want to be in a relationship, or just because you feel like you're trying to fill a void, then maybe you're jumping in it too fast. Or if you've taken no time to really process it. Like if you go on one date and you're like, okay, bet, like let's become boyfriend and girlfriend. Like maybe I'd be like,
slow your roll.
Pause just a bit, especially if you just if that was your first time meeting that person. I think if there's like a history of friendship behind that makes things way different. Because then you already know that person. So it's you just trying to figure out, okay, do we have a romantic connection? And once you know that, I feel like there's not really any time to kind of waste, I'm someone who I feel like sometimes the talking stage can become just like another added like way to prolong dating. It can almost make things complicated, because then it's like, well, we're not in a relationship, but we're pretending to be in a relationship. Like, I feel like talking stage is to clarify if you feel like, okay, do we have the romantic connection or not? Once you know that, just date. There's no point.
Decide whether or not.
There's no point to spend 2 months in a talking stage.
Do we have feelings for each other that is deeper than friendship?
Exactly. Yeah. But I think once you've processed it all, like if you feel like, okay, this is from the Lord, like everyone's timeline is their own timeline. And so
we can't sit here and give like a definitive answer, but I think you gave a good kind of scope.
Yeah.
If you were friends before, it's context of, of how long you've known this person.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Because labels are a big deal, which we'll get into in another question. But did you have anything?
I think it like a way to tell if you're not moving too fast is like if it's just easy. Because I feel like, which we were friends before. Yeah. For context, we were friends before we started dating for how many months?
It was like 4 months.
Yeah, like 4 months or so, and then I pursued you. No, but
chased me down.
I chased you down, wore you down.
It's crazy.
Kind of.
But then once we started talking about dating and everything, then it was just like oh yeah, like it was super smooth.
Yeah.
Like it didn't feel like anything was holding us back. It was just like, yeah, we could do this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a testament to how much we knew each other, how well we knew each other. Because if you don't really know the person super well, there's just gonna be a lot of questions, and it's not like it'll end badly or you guys need to break up, but it'll just have a lot more obstacles, I think, and just like staggering to get going, because you're still trying to get to know each other while trying to pursue like a dating relationship. So
good point.
But this leads into another question.
Well, do you have anything on that?
I mean,
Okay.
No, that's good. Cool. Because I think I have more to say on the next one. But it goes together, because you mentioned labels, like boyfriend, girlfriend, which is a big deal. And in our culture, in our society, people don't like to label things. And now Christians, I think, especially young couples, they're afraid to label everything because of the commitment. And young adults are afraid of commitment. So the question is, when is the time to define the relationship? And I just think that
DTR.
Clarity, our friend Cheekies, she likes to say
shout out Cheekies.
Clarity is kindness. She says that all the time. And it's so catchy, like it sticks with me. But if you're clear about your feelings, if you're honest, directness is not a bad thing. Directness, I don't know if that's
who was someone that was clear and obvious in your life?
That was very much Ben. I had no confusion whatsoever about what he wanted. And that's just being direct. Yeah. It's not being, well, he was a little pushy. But
pushy.
No, but I just think that you don't need to know when to define it if you know and are honest with each other. If both people are honest.
Yeah, like you don't ever want to ask, like, what are we?
Yeah, no.
You shouldn't have to ask.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you should just at a certain point just be like, yeah, we both know what we are.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Well, how was it
obviously.
for you in your perspective? Because I had said, no, I don't want to go out to coffee. I don't really want to pursue a relationship with you. But at the same time, we were still like talking a lot.
Oh yeah. So I was like bummed out, of course. But then I was like, I mean, like we can still be friends, whatever. Like that's fine, I guess. And then you kept talking to me, so I was like, oh.
Yeah, but I don't recommend that. Like,
no,
you know,
yeah,
that's not a good thing, you know, because I really felt like, man, I just know I'm gonna hurt him. Like I'm hurting him. Like but I couldn't stop talking to you, and I didn't know why. Oh, but I think that I was just curious because it can go both ways on the guy's side and the girl's side if there's not clarity as to what's going on. And
well, so at that point, I mean, it was like, oh, like we're just friends, like talking. But I was like, she'd be talking to me a lot.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's kind of obvious, like, all right, she might like me.
And there's still maybe
but I wasn't, like I was like, there might still be a chance, but I wasn't like banking on like, all right, that 1%, that,
Yeah, and I didn't feel that. I didn't feel pressure.
It made me think of a verse, I don't know where it's at in the Bible, but there's a verse in the Bible that says God is God of peace, not of confusion. And I've thought that about a lot in dating. Because I think if someone comes into your life and it's from God, they're going to add peace to your life. They're not going to make it more confusing. Because they're going to be listening to God, and both of y'all are coming in this with together, hopefully, of both listening to the Lord. So it should be one that's full of peace. And so I would say, like, if you're with someone, y'all been talking for like 6 months and you're still in this talking stage, like, I think at that point, it's like some evaluation needs to happen of like, okay, like, are we ready to start dating or what's happening here? Because that's way too long. I think defining the relationship should happen like after a month. It could happen even sooner. Yeah. In a lot of cases, if you're friends before. But if you're not friends before, you'll know within a month if you want to keep dating this person, like in a relationship, or if you just want to be friends. Yeah. Because I think people now think, oh, well, I have to go through the talking stage to figure out if I want to date this person. Like, no, dating is supposed to figure out if you want. Dating's that point blank. Yeah. Like we've added a stage to it in our new generation. Like back in the day, I mean, people just date, and then through dating, they figured out, okay, do I want to marry this person, or am I just want to be friends?
Yeah.
I think we feel like we're gonna hurt people if we go through the dating before we finish out the talking. But I don't think that's true. Like you said, clarity is kindness. Telling people up front what the truth is, like that is so, because you're both helping each other find out who your future spouse is sooner when you do that.
Yeah.
And so just go into dating, figure out what happens. If it doesn't work out, it's totally okay. Like no hard feelings.
Yeah, and we touched on this a little bit in the Q&A panel, but I want us to elaborate a little bit more on this, on just how Christians are faced with a lot of pressure in the church when it comes to dating, because there's a lot of eyes that care, but that like to offer their opinions and their thoughts.
Have you ever tried blah blah blah?
And so people are like, wait, what? Like, I can actually like maybe go on a date with one person and then maybe 2 weeks later go on one date with someone else because I figured out I don't want to date the first one. Like, it's okay. It's not bad to do that because you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I just think that there's a lot of pressure in the church to date one person. You figure it out. You start dating, and then the next step is engagement, next step's marriage, and everyone is just like pushing for young people to get married, and it's a good thing to get married. But when that's a pressure, then it puts the dating relationship under a microscope.
Sometimes takes the fun out of it too.
Yeah. It's like you're like, all right, if we mess up, we're not getting married, so don't mess up. Don't.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then, you said something about. Crap, I can't remember your exact point, but it just reminded me of something. I think JP said it maybe, where he said like, try to be the godliest person you can be.
Yes.
And find the godliest person you
Megan
can find to marry.
Yes, he says that. He literally says, find the godliest person you know.
Yeah.
Which we overcomplicate.
There
Yeah.
you go.
But that's it.
Yeah.
That's good.
There's like a lot of questions
there is.
that's like
I
coming
know.
up in my head that people might have. But I do want to get to these other ones that people brought up. So this is a huge one. Maybe we can just try and do our best to answer it and tackle it. It's not even a question, really. Okay. It's just a topic.
Uh-huh.
But let's form it into a question. Let's talk about boundaries, both physical and emotional. But let's start with emotional boundaries. Why is it even necessary to set an emotional boundary, and what does it look like to cross it?
Okay, I'm gonna start.
I'm a guy,
Unless
so I
someone else wants to
don't
start.
know anything about emotions. I don't know anything about emotions. I'm a guy.
That's a lie.
Okay, I'll just go for it. I think emotional boundaries are huge, and in my opinion, I feel like they're not talked about enough. But more specifically, emotional boundaries before you've started dating. I think this has like become crucial in our generation because of texting and social media. I think it's really easy to cross. Oh my gosh, I think it's really easy to quickly cross an emotional boundary through DMing or through texting before you started dating someone. And what I mean by that is, like, let's say it's 2 months, okay, and you're talking to this person. Y'all are just friends. You've never said if you're dating, if you're boyfriend and girlfriend. However, you're flirting over text. You're sending each other good morning, good night texts. Okay, if you've been doing this for a month or two, you for sure have now made an emotional connection with this person. And now you're trying to fill something from them that you should only get from God. But now you're trying to fill that emotional gap that you're missing from a spouse. And now you're getting it from someone who's just a friend. So then when that time comes, or eventually this is going to end because all things come to an end.
Yeah, like, or they start talking to someone else.
You're going to get hurt.
Because there's no definition.
Yeah, but they're going to be like, well, we were just friends.
Yeah.
And now you're left there with this huge emotional scar that you've now crossed. And now you have to mourn basically a relationship loss.
Even though y'all never dated.
Exactly.
And that is such a common thing.
So common. So, I mean, my biggest thing is I think it's just wise not to text or date someone until you've actually started to be in a dating thing. Like, and I understand, okay, well, how am I not supposed to text or something if they're going to ask me on a date? That's totally different. Like, if they've pursued you and now they're taking you out on a date, totally you can text to ask about the date and all of that. I just mean before it gets to that point, don't do that. Like, don't try to text to figure each other out if you're just friends. Like, there's no need to do that. Like, just wait until, okay, so we're going to go on a date? Bet. You know, and even that, still be cautious. Like, it's not like you need to text that person 24/7. So, yeah.
I think that's good. And I have a question for Ben, just because I want to hear, like, a guy's perspective. Yeah, that's good. I know that you said, you know, you don't have any emotional issues.
Not that I don't have any emotions. I just don't understand them.
Oh, my God.
Well, men express emotions differently than women do. But I'm really curious to know if you've ever been on that side where you've maybe created an emotional attachment to someone and they were not, like, they ended things, I guess, or kind of broke it off, and you were a little like, oh, well, then I was confused.
No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
No, yeah, I mean, it's literally what Megan said. Just you kind of talk to someone and be like, it's not even that, like, oh, we're dating. It's just like, oh, like, I talked to this person and blah blah blah. Like, I feel almost committed to this person, but it's not a relationship.
Right.
But I'm gonna text them in the morning. But it's not a relationship. But I'm gonna text them tonight. It's not a relationship. But I'm gonna text them like every, like, however long. And if they're talking back and then end up with someone else and dating someone else, and then that completely cuts off, it's like, oh crap. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, it just
I think another aspect, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but I think another aspect of the emotional commitment that we make to people without any real commitment to the relationship is just opening the vault way too early.
Yeah.
And that opening the vault is one of Nick's, like, 10 rules of dating. Dating, you know, when you're committed boyfriend, girlfriend, like, one day we will hope to get married. Not talking stage, flirty, friendship, confusing time.
This is
where you open the vault.
We gonna get married.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact, because I've done it 100 times, sadly, that this is a prevalent issue with girls, that we feel safe with a guy, we start talking, you know, texting, and I'm sure, you know, guys do this too.
Guys? No, I'm kidding.
Not right now, not currently. Back in the day. but you feel safe and you feel like, oh, this is okay. Maybe this could go somewhere, but I don't know yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and spill this because I've never told anyone this before. And I feel like this is the first time I can. And you just kind of open up an emotional, very personal space. And you open up and share things that should really maybe only be shared with a spouse or when you're dating to be engaged in that season of your life, when you know for a fact, like, we are going to be together, we're journeying together in this. And when I share this, it won't derail our relationship. Like, we'll be okay after I share this because we have that certainty.
That's good.
So I think that is one of the reasons why we need to set up boundaries emotionally, to prevent hurt and to prevent us sharing our heart and giving our heart away to multiple people. That
and there's still ways there's still ways to have boundaries, but be able to have people help you emotionally.
For sure.
Like, we're not saying like, oh, have a boundary where no one knows this about you, no one knows blah blah blah.
Right.
But like, have your community, which, like, before I'm married, it would be like my guys or friends, whatever, where it's like, if I'm going through something emotionally, I should be able to go to them and have them help me. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Not this girl that I'm interested in, pour out my heart to her, and then be like, oh, okay, well, actually, I'm talking to this other guy. So
yeah.
Then of course
like,
you're gonna get hurt.
I have no
like,
intention of like furthering this.
Yeah.
And then it ends up in hurt. Let's move to physical boundaries. I don't know. We could just talk about why it's important to set physical boundaries, but I don't know. There's just no question.
No, yeah. We could just talk why.
Hands up.
Is that a rule?
That's one of Nick's rules for dating.
Why it's important to set physical boundaries.
Yeah.
Well, it's important because the Bible talks about how sex before marriage is sin. And so physical boundaries are there to help prevent anything like that happening. But I even think, because it can be a gray area of stuff before that, of making out or kissing or whatever. But JP talks about how making out prepares the body for sex. And so I think also, I think it's important to also not make out before marriage. Because if you're already preparing the body for sex and sex is something that you can't do, then why even start your body on that process?
He says the same thing about like living together before you get married.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
And then if you say, oh, we're living together, but we're not having sex, then it's like, well,
it's just harder. Yeah.
But that also, like, that's the point of, not the point of living together and being married, but that's a thing for being married and living together. So are you just going to practice not doing that?
Exactly.
Like, yeah. So. And that, what you said, is like super controversial for the time that we're living in.
Yeah.
Even for believers.
No, I know. Yeah.
Because there's still this, well, one, we battled with the flesh, right? We need to put that aside every single day. But at the same time, we're still under the mentality and belief that, no, well, we need to test these areas before we commit to this person. It's not enough to just like hold hands. It's not enough to just, hang out together and be alone. We have to test these areas in order to make sure that we have enough chemistry that it's good. And I mean, the reality is exactly what you said. You're just setting yourself up for continued disappointment and discouragement when you get to a point where you want to go further and you can't, because you're trying to stay faithful to God, and you're just creating a very, very difficult time for both of you. It adds a lot of stress to the relationship that God never intended to be there.
Yeah, that's good.
But everyone does have their convictions and their line. Yeah. And it's not about testing how far I can go.
No, yeah.
And who says
it's Luke Lefebvre? I was thinking the same thing. Yes,
Luke Lefebvre.
He's so good.
He says, don't ask how close you can get to sin. Ask how close you can get to holiness.
So good. Yeah.
And
that's like my favorite, one of my favorite lines.
Yeah. Holiness is everything. It's not ask how close you can get to, like,
before having sex with me.
Yeah.
Well, it's like he used the example of Samson and how he had his Nazarite vow. Right. I'm not messing up. I might be messing up. This is a classic worship leader not knowing his theology. No, but he used that example of like they're not supposed to touch corpses or anything. But then you see the story of him finding a lion or bear, whatever it was, with honey in its guts, and Samson testing the line, scooping honey out of the guts, but not touching the dead body, trying to see how close he can get to like sin without sinning.
Yeah,
and it's like,
yeah, that's good.
Just don't go for the honey.
Yeah, that's good.
So Ben, I have another question for you. It's so funny because it's not like I don't know these things, but I also still want to hear your voice on it. But you and I have different dating histories.
Yes.
And I've shared, yeah, it's a little different. I've shared before on the podcast that I was in a lot of relationships before I got married, before I knew Christ and after I knew Christ, and definitely broke a lot of emotional boundaries, also past physical boundaries that were, I guess, set up, but not really intentional. But your story is a little different. You can share a little bit of it. But my question for you would be, I forgot my question, but maybe just go ahead.
So my background real quick, before Isha, I didn't date anyone. I saw her and I was like, This is bone of my bone, flesh of my...
Poetry.
No, so I mean, I had a lot of friends who were girls, but never any girlfriends.
Oh.
Not without trying. But what's it called? Like, I just never not initiated, but I never just got into that relationship with whoever. So I definitely emotionally like had that where it was like, like they started dating someone else because I just for whatever reason didn't try making it into a relationship. I just wanted to like keep it like this and not really be dating, but exactly, like it's just confusing. It's like we weren't dating, but we were always hanging out, like it happened a few times, whatever. But yeah, you're my first. You were my first girlfriend and then wife.
Yes, I know that.
So cute.
Yeah, she knows.
And I love that. But also, I faced a lot of like a little bit. No, it was a lot. Just I felt guilty. I felt bad that I wasted so much time, and I gave my heart away to different people. I didn't, and I felt really bad about that. But there's grace. My question now that I remembered is when you met me then, and this was like your first godly Christian relationship. It also was my first real godly Christian relationship. When it comes to like the physical boundaries, like did you feel like, well, I don't know, I'm just trying to figure this out. Like I don't really know like what line to cross or how was that? Because
I saw you, I was like bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh of my flesh. So physical boundaries, when you and I started dating, I thought of them, I don't even know, because like I had that, again, didn't have any girlfriends, but like, didn't definitely like mess around just a little bit. No, I'm kidding. But in a dating relationship, I wasn't sure where that boundary should have been. And so I think I just made up something and then I was like, and then probably passed it at some point and I was like, oh, well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think looking back, and I want to share this just because it matters, but also like I want us to be honest and help anybody out there that's like, okay, I'm entering this godly relationship. I don't know how to do it in a godly way. And I don't know how to stick to boundaries. Looking back, I would include a lot more people not a lot more people. I would include one trusted person, one trusted person that I could talk to to help us.
Keep you accountable.
If I could go back, I would just literally say like, I wish I knew that making out prepares you for sex. I wish I knew that like once you cross a line, you're going to go to the next one. Yeah. Like it's just going to happen because you're just trying to not cross the big line over there, sex before marriage.
Air quotes, big line.
So if I could go back in time, I would include a trusted person for both of us to individually text on our own, to keep us accountable and to be really open about that area of our relationship to protect us.
I think that's huge. I think it can be a mentor. I think it's helpful to have a mentor, but I think it also can just be like a really close, godly best friend.
Yeah.
That you're literally telling.
Girly pop.
Yeah, girly pop. almost everything too. And not necessarily everything emotionally, but for sure everything physically. Like that you're automatically confessing that sin to someone.
Yeah.
Of, okay, we did this. And then you have that person right there. Like, because there's so much power in confession. Because you're putting out in the light. And what's in the light, the enemy doesn't have power over anymore. And so then you're not going in the spiral thought process in your head full of shame and guilt. Or, you don't have the enemy saying, well, you already did that, so you might as well just go this much further. When you tell that godly person, it helps so much. So if you're trying to figure out how to do this in a godly way, like you said, bring that person in mind. Either someone that's discipling you, mentor, or that best friend that's a Christian. Bring them into this and help that be the person that you just have that habit of telling everything to.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right, so let's move to probably our last question. Yeah. No, we'll do
just
one more.
rapid fire real quick.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we can do rapid fire.
Okay.
Let's do rapid fire.
Let's do rapid fire. How many questions?
Let's do a yes or no answer and then just why.
Bet.
Let's do that.
That doesn't work for one of these questions.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Is having high standards bad?
No.
Yeah. Why?
Because high standards helps you date in a godly way.
Okay.
I think standards can be subjective. So high standards for someone else might be low standards for someone else. That makes sense.
Oh, that's a good point.
So just have standards.
Also, sorry.
No, that's my point.
Really fast, just going to say this real fast so that people don't get misconstrued. High standards does not mean your flesh standards. Meaning high standards is not, well, I need this girl to be this, have this height, look like this and all of that. These are my high standards.
That's what I call unrealistic standards.
Yeah, that is not high standards.
That's
high standards, is my opinion, is, and it's not even high standards. This is like bare minimum Christian dating.
The standard is Christ.
The standard is Christ. Like, they're in a relationship with the Lord. They walk with the Lord. They read their Bible daily. And then they have the same goals as you. But anyways, I just had to say that fast because I know probably someone listening is going to be like, what about this list? Yeah. So anyways.
Yeah. I just say no because our standard should be Christ.
Yes.
And we are called to look like Christ. So we should look for people that also look like Christ.
Exactly.
And that is a high standard.
Yeah.
Try to be the godliest you can be and find the godliest person you can be.
There we go.
But it's not impossible.
It's not.
Okay, next one. When you're ready to move to the next step, engagement or
yes,
marriage.
I just spit the mic.
Oh my god.
So
ask that question again real quick. Sorry.
When are you ready for the next step? When do you think?
Oh, this is not going to be rapid fire.
But we can try.
We can flesh this
try
one
to do
out.
it. Yeah, I can try to make this fast. You go first, Ben. I feel like you're going to say something.
Ooh.
Oh,
I thought I was going to say something too. No, I mean, I think the next step will come naturally.
That's a good point.
If you try rushing things, doing it in my own timing instead of God's timing, then of course it won't work. That classic church line. Sometimes God, it seems like God's saying no, but really he's saying wait. Like, I mean, for real. Like sometimes you just need to wait a little bit.
But also there's waiting too long.
Yeah.
And so I think if you know each other pretty well, and you have opened the vault, you have
done Nick's other 9 things.
But if you guys are already thinking about marriage and you know we can get married, we will get married, don't wait.
Yeah.
Like,
we have a kind of a thing with that. So remember when we were talking about getting married and I was like, once I finish school, that's a good like marker for I graduated last semester.
Yeah. And we've been married we've
been married 3 years now almost.
Yeah.
Or 2.5 years, whatever.
Yeah, because in our minds we had a timeline, and that's what you're saying. Our timeline that's in Christian society for some reason at that time was like you date for a year and then you get engaged. So we were just waiting for a year for no reason.
Well, and I was like, oh yeah, once I graduate, like I only have like 2 more semesters worth of classes left, or 3, whatever it was. And then you just said something that I'm trying to the timeline, but just like,
we were ready.
Oh, then another thing was like I was only, so quick background on me, I work at BT Church.
Woo.
If I didn't say that before.
No, you didn't.
In my introduction. I'm our Edinburgh campus worship director. Shout out Edinburgh campus.
Shout out.
I work in our business office. Shout out Yarly, Jess, and Alana in there. But so that makes me part-time squared here, which equals full-time. Anyways, when we were dating and when we got married, I was still only working part-time here. And
so
another thing was like, oh, let's wait until I'm full-time like here, or I have part-time here and then part-time somewhere else. Whatever.
When really like the reality is that you can grow together.
Yeah. And because we were thinking like, oh, financially, like maybe not, but then we looked and we're like, oh yeah, this will work. It's fine. So
I have nothing to say. Yeah. Your timeline is your own timeline.
So let's do this last one, and it's not really rapid fire, but we'll try.
Okay.
How has social media negatively affected dating?
Comparison.
Yeah. I think I'm definitely not the first person to say this. I think other people have probably said it before, but it's negative affected it in the sense that now there's like options, quote unquote. So like, for instance,
what do you mean by that?
Maybe in the 1950s through the 2000s, whatever. Okay. Maybe even like 2015. I don't know. Whatever. If someone was ready to marry, they would just meet someone either in a social setting at high school. That's why there were so many high school sweethearts, and college, at a coffee shop, in dinner, whatever. And you're like, oh, that person, the guy's thinking, oh, wow, that woman's really pretty. Like, let me go ask her out. Boom, happens. They're married. Nowadays, that is not the case because of options. Because social media has opened your eyes. Well, man, I could ask this girl out in this coffee shop, but there's also that girl online and that other girl. I know this girl that lives in Wisconsin. So because of that, like, like I'm not going to ask her out.
The availability.
Yeah. And so now it's created this like almost hesitation of wanting to pursue someone because of the other aspect that there's an option to maybe somewhere else that could be better. Like the grass is always greener mindset. So,
I think also what's interesting is that for a lot of people listening, probably it seems like there's no options.
Yeah, that
even
too.
With social media. Then it has another negative effect of I keep seeing all these people get into relationships and all these people getting married, having babies, like, and it feels like for me there's no one,
that
and
too.
So we end up just like basically already counting ourselves out by the negative effects of social media.
I think so. I said comparison. Like Instagram, Facebook, if you use it, I don't know. I scroll through Facebook and it's no one that I follow. It's random pages. I hate Facebook right now. Anyways,
You're all old.
I know. I'm all boomer. Sorry, any boomers listening. I scroll through Instagram, or if you scroll through Instagram, it's just highlights. So if you compare yourself to someone's highlights, of course, like, if you're in a relationship, you're like, hey, we haven't done this yet. Oh, we haven't done this. Like, oh, like, why haven't we done this?
We need to
like,
get there.
We need to get there already, and
That's
you're
good.
just killing the joy of your relationship by comparing. See, I did that.
Good. Okay, that was great. I think we need to wrap up already. So
yeah, that was a great episode.
Yeah, let's just end it. I think that was good.
Yeah.
But thank you all for listening. Hopefully we can do this again, probably for a good while. We'll take a break from all the dating questions and stuff like that, but our DMs are always open on the Young Adult Instagram, and we're always here. Like, we have Megan literally works here for young adults.
I do.
So she's open. Like, she doesn't have an office, she has a table. It's in the coffee shop.
Her office is the atrium.
This is where we work, and that's a perfect environment to just come in, literally sit down, and let's have a conversation.
For sure.
Pull up, get coffee.
If y'all have more questions,
we're here for you.
So thank y'all for listening.
We want to journey with you.
Praying for y'all's current and future relationships, and we'll see y'all next episode.
Love y'all.
Later.